Okay, guys. Well, I decided I'm going to do an update so that you know what's going on with the channel and with the roundtables, because we haven't done a roundtable for a few weeks now. And so initially we couldn't do the roundtables because I had some technical issues with Skype, which have since been sorted. Last week we accidentally timed it with the full moon, blood moon eclipse. And so we haven't as yet actually been able to schedule the day where we can all be at the one time and together to do another round table. That's also an issue, trying to get everybody at the same time because we all live in different time zones. Another thing is that the roundtables are really draining when you are just getting out so much information in a short amount of time. And so really, I think I've done about 6 hours or 5 hours with the roundtables of pretty good information. And so I feel even if we don't continue with the roundtables as yet, that the amount of information that we have actually put out in those ones we have uploaded is certainly enough to give everybody a good understanding of where we're at, and if they do want to seek further information, they know where to go and seek that information out. And really, that was pretty much just what I wanted to do with the roundtables. I just wanted to create an atmosphere and situation, like an environment where it sparks discussion, and this is really good in a group situation when you have other intellects working and sparking more discussion in other areas that might not be covered when I'm just speaking myself at a computer screen. I often leave things out because I just don't think about something and someone else has actually thought about that, and then it brings more discussion because it's another angle that I hadn't actually, realised or thought. So they do have their place when we have these group discussions, but they are draining too. So we'll just go with our guidance as per usual. And if we do feel that we need to start doing some more roundtables, then we will definitely do some more roundtables. At the moment, I just wanted to get this information out about what is going on with these refugees because it is important. This is something that's going to impact all Westerners in 2016, which is a 9-year culmination, conclusion. And so, if anything, I just want to ensure that this information is definitely put out into the public arena, and then if you want to go and investigate further, you can. You can join the Facebook groups if you're new to the channel and you have started to identify the situation for what it is. A lot of people are now starting to identify that we have a huge problem, especially with these refugees. I have seen a lot of people waking up to the fact that these refugees are not who they seem to be. And when we start putting all the pieces together, we can start having an understanding for who these refugees really are. And it doesn't have to be a mystery anymore. And we don't have to scratch our heads and wonder what's coming, what's happening. Because if we're one of those people, we're going to be blindsided. And I would rather not be blindsided. I would rather not be mocked by the Antichrist. And when I say Antichrist, I mean anybody against the light within you, anybody against the Christ within you. And so that's religious establishments, that's education establishments, that's government establishments, business, corporations, all Antichrist, because they're against the Christ within you. They worship the money god. Their motivation is all about materialism. If your motivation's about materialism and gaining materially through financial gain and money, then you are extinguishing your light. And that's what they want, which is why they've provided it for us. Which is why they've provided Western man with, all of the ability to be a gluttonous, oversexed swine that just mindlessly consumes materialism, and without thought for anybody else. And Western man has basically allowed himself to be overindulged at the sake of the rest of the world. And he has watched his black brothers, his yellow brothers, and his red brothers suffer while he has benefited from this. And this is because Western man has been set up. This is part of the script being played on mankind, and this is going to be realised by us all next year. And soon after they play out this psychopathic payback that they have because they hate anything that's good, and they know that inherently mankind are good, but mankind are weak of the flesh. They are easy to turn to the path of darkness, unfortunately. But when they are provided with a choice, and they know that there is a choice, man will normally take the higher path if he understands it's there. Unfortunately, mankind have forgotten the higher path back to God is there. You can't even speak about God without being called a religitard or put into that category, and that's also by design. They made it so that anybody that began seeking this information that wasn't religious and realised that there was a creator and then started speaking for their divinity, as all seekers do when they find this knowledge, they were prepared for those people too. And so they've created the Westboro Church, being those freaks who are so hateful and act out in those ridiculous ways. This is all by design. The Antichrist have stitched us up very, very well. And they've done this by turning us against ourselves. This is how they've managed to be able to stay behind the curtain. And so what they're basically doing now is creating an enemy for Western man. And they've been doing this in Syria over the last 3 years. This is what they've been doing. Creating hate for the Western man who has been funding the bombs that have been dropping on the people in these countries. And these people are now on their way to the West. And they are going to teach Western man a lesson. And they are going to bring jihad to Western man. And Western man are completely oblivious to this. His face is just stuck in his iPhone, which is soon to be hacked because they are using Apple as a means of controlling mankind through information. And if you look at the archetypal symbolism of the apple, it is not random that they have used that for the Apple iPhone, but they are also going to start hacking into the phone, banking details, personal details. So I would suggest you get all of that information off your iPhones. However, they probably have already stored them elsewhere. But I would still delete anything that you don't want to be in the public domain off your iPhone. And so they have basically utilised all of these different avenues to take control of mankind without mankind even understanding that he has been taken control of and that he is a slave, a mental slave to this program, to this system. And so now they have these jihadists on their way to our countries, and they are calling them refugees. They are not refugees. 75% of them are males. And they were throwing back food and water at Hungary. I will put a link to that video underneath. And this isn't because it wasn't halal, and this isn't because it was the Red Cross and it had a symbol of the cross on it. This is because they're showing you they don't want your food. They don't want your water. Okay, Western man, fuck you. They're coming for you. That's the attitude they have. Go and have a look at them when they arrive, taking selfies of themselves, getting across. accomplishing it, hanging around in Greece, creating problems, throwing rocks at trains as they go past. They are not coming because they have been displaced by war. They are coming because they want white men to pay. And they are going to target the woman or the women because they are brainwashed to see the Western woman as a whore. And the Western woman doesn't do herself any favours. She's allowed herself to be run into the ditch as well. So all we have now is a generation of gorgons, basically. And if you don't know what a gorgon is, go and look at the mythology of Medusa. And go and understand why when men looked at Medusa, they turned to stone. And go and understand what happens when your heart is the weight of stone and it has to be weighed against the light of God. It doesn't pass. You don't want to be dragged down into the gutter by your sacrum by these gorgons, and that's why they've created them. These Medusas and these gorgons. The Medusas are the celebrities, you know, and the gorgons are the ones that follow them. The ones that are doing duck lips to their Facebook profile, sticking their breasts out, parading themselves around half naked as though their external appearance is who they are, that they're only created as vessels for sex or breeding. This is what they believe about themselves. This is what they have brainwashed. They have managed to brainwash the Western woman to believe about herself, that she's not an intellectual. Yet when you actually go back and have a look at all of the ancient mythologies about the warrior queens, go and have a look at the Persian generals. The queens, the warrior queens were the strategists for their wars. Often, without their help, the battle would be lost because this is the binary intellect that does, you know, a different way of processing, has a different way of processing the information. And this is what the establishment, the Antichrist, are very afraid of, which is why they removed the female, because the female is very intelligent when she wants to use her intelligence for good and not for controlling people or manipulating situations, because they're good at doing that too, because they are intelligent. That's why women make such good bitches, and they're so psychopathic when they want to be, because they're smart. And so women have to use that intellect once again for good, not just reducing themselves to think they have power when they can control men through their sacrum, which is now what women are brainwashed to believe, that that's the only way that they can be an equal or they can dominate males, when it should actually be working in harmony, working together, looking at information together with both intellects, assessing information together with both intellects so that we're seeing all perspectives. Both intellects are basically processing the information so that everything's being addressed, because otherwise each intellect only has the one side without, you know, utilising the other. So unfortunately, Western women have been set up too, and they are happy to be the empowered whores that they think comes with, you know, being someone that's empowered, that they can wear a short skirt. You know, that's supposed to mean something, that they're empowered. You know, I don't know how that equates to empowerment when you're strutting around like a cheap, trashy slut or slag, you know. I mean, really, have some self-respect. Have some self-respect. That's what it comes down to. You know, there's a way of, you can still look attractive. You don't have to display yourself like meat, okay? And it's true, you know, there was a cleric, a Muslim cleric, that said the Western woman's like uncovered meat. And I'm sorry, on that instance, I have to agree. I'm embarrassed by what I see Western women do, and you know, in my name, because I'm of the gender. Oh, and I happen to be a natural blonde. It's almost like a curse, because every slutty slag out there dyes her hair blonde, but she's a brunette. You know, all these dumb blondes, you know, next time you go and call someone a dumb blonde, remember, you're actually dumb yourself, because she's a brunette, she's not blonde, okay? None of your blondes in Hollywood are even blondes. They're all brunettes. Okay, Marilyn Monroe, brunette. All right? You've been tricked. Again, we've been programmed. It's social engineering. Okay? None of us got away with it. And this is what makes me laugh when people carry on about being discriminated against. Try being a blonde and having a brain. You know, really, stop whining. Just get over it and start standing up and speaking out. You know, that's all you have to do. Just be a squeaky wheel and just don't go down without a fight. And all we've got is our voices now. Otherwise, you know what? We're just going to go down saying nothing like little mice. Well, no thanks. I may as well go down saying something. Okay, I'm hated, but I've had my say and I've used my experience to its full advantage. I haven't just been a, you know, pawn in the game getting pushed around by opposing forces and never having a say anything. I've actually, saying anything, I've actually removed myself from their control to a degree. Even though they have control somewhat over me physically, they don't have control over me consciously, and they never will, because now I know information that they can't take away from me. You know, and once you get to that, you're very powerful because you don't fear them and you don't fear death. Sure, I don't want to feel pain, but I know pain will pass and death will come and I'll be released. And I know who I am, an ethereal being, so it's nothing to fear. Everyone has to bring themselves to that place so they can face what's coming. That's what this information's for. That's basically what all this information has been provided to us by our forefathers, by the ancients, our ancestors. They left this here because they knew this was coming. And they knew we would start becoming conscious again and waking up and looking for this information and trying to understand who we are. And those that really wanted to know wouldn't stop. They wouldn't get tricked by the charlatans. They wouldn't get tricked by the gurus and the priests because they would go for the knowledge. They would go for the sciences and the information, and they would just keep looking and looking and looking until they found. And when they found, they were disturbed. But after they were disturbed, they realized what they found. And they realized it was a great thing, and they didn't have to be in fear anymore. And so that's where we should be. And so unfortunately, if you're not there and if you're not willing to go there and understand the situation we're now in, which takes a complete paradigm shift, then really you're just going to hate on me because you don't like what I say. And you're going to continue on a path that leads you to your own destination that you've manifested through your choices. Because that's the other thing. We manifest our choices. We don't manifest anything other than the path that we're going to take, because we're all going to the same place. We're all going back to source, or we're not, because we are not going to be allowed anywhere near source if we have sullied our souls. And so now we have to get ourselves right. We have to build the light up within us again, and that's removing the shadows. You know, we've all fucked up. You know, we're all sinners. We've all been in ignorance at some stage and allowed ourselves to fall off, you know, our path. But we have to just come to face those truths and look at them and just realize that we're human and that we've erred and that we can make it up with our behavior now, with taking our responsibility seriously now and standing now for creation, for our divinity, for our creator in the face of whatever, no matter what anybody says. Even when people are ridiculing us and mocking us, just standing true to what we know because of what the information and the knowledge is showing us. And this is the thing, people mock me and people will basically ridicule me and abuse me and attack me, but they always do it to me and they always personally attack me. They don't actually debate me with anything. They don't actually go and take any of my information and show me where it's incorrect. And so we know that's because they're threatened by the information. And so the easiest way to shut down the information is to shut down me. And so they do that by attacking me personally. And I've just learnt to let it roll off my back because I know that I'm on my path back to my source, creator, and nothing is going to err me from that path, because I've identified where I am going. And that's really where we all have to be, just identify your destination, and don't let anything change you. Just keep your eyes on the light at the horizon and follow it. Keep going, no matter what anybody says or does. And seriously, it's going to get to that point soon with the propaganda that's coming out about all of this bombing in Syria, where you are going to just keep focused on the light. You know, focused on that horizon where you're continuing to walk through, just using your instincts and, you know, everything else you've been gifted with, but trusting in them, because that's what it comes down to. It comes down to trusting your instincts and not overriding them with your intellect like we've been taught our whole lives to do in this system. We have to bring it back down into our solar plexus and our heart, which is our ka, our instincts. And when that information comes up into our intellect, into our third eye, we have to actually accept it and then act on it and not override it and shut it down, because that's when we take that negative path again and we don't actually find an easier journey through these times. You know, our gut, our guidance is there for a reason. If we use it, we will get through these times. That's what people have to do. Train it again, because it's been taken away from us. Rome has taken it away, you know, with all of the knowledge of our ethereal soul and who we are as a people, the divine race. You know, they've taken all of that information away. All of that side to who we are away. We are completely blind to it. And so we just rely on them to tell us information all the time instead of ourselves. We've got to rely on ourselves again. You can't find information in their system. They're not going to tell you what you need to know to find truth. You won't find it with any professor that studied at a university. It has to be found through self-education, through going and learning the sciences and weighing and measuring everything against the sciences. Once you know the sciences, you can weigh and measure everything against the sciences. That's why it's important that you understand the 7 principles of hermetics. And you must weigh and measure against every principle. You can't just use 3 or 4. You have to use all 7 so that you know that you have the correct understanding. And you just continue to look until you do have the correct understanding. You don't stop. You keep looking until it does make sense, because you've used all of those principles, and then you do have an understanding for the information in its correct context, because it does weigh and measure against all of the laws. So without an understanding of true science, which is hermetics, and the esoteric laws, it's very hard to understand what these psychopaths are doing. But because we're at the end of the great year, again, this is esoteric information that if you understand, this is perfectly understandable why psychopaths who are not going to pass judgment would basically destroy what they can't inherit. So it starts to make logical sense why they would just continue to destroy everything that is divine and use mankind's own ways against him. His own weaknesses are being used against him. And then the Antichrist is going to hold that up to us and say, it was you that sent yourselves into the ditch. And we're going to have to agree, because it was our love of money, our lust for money. Our lust for money controlled us, and we destroyed our planet over a piece of paper. That's what it comes down to, people. That's where we have to unlock ourselves from money, okay? Because if you're still trapped in with money and trying for that career and that success, you know, it's going to bring you money and a big car and a mansion and an easy life, then you are still trapped in this system of thinking that's where happiness can be found. And that's why people aren't happy even when they've got all of those riches. They're empty, because that's not where it's found, and they know that. That's the road to hell, okay? Hive needle, camel, heaven. Enough said. Really? Okay, pretty clear. That's not the path, okay? That's the devil's path, all right? You know, that's the path he's laid out for you. Again, I'm not talking about any dude with horns. I'm just giving a identity to the conscious element that's taken control of mankind, which is negative. And it's normal to get into the Iron Age and have the, you know, negative conscious element take control. This is Seth ruling us now, okay? We're in this control of lower conscious Iron Man and mortals who are basically intent on destroying their planet for their lust of money, because they've lost their way. They've been disconnected from creation. And this is what makes me laugh when people think that the ancient Egyptians couldn't have made technology. Of course they could have. They didn't want to because they knew it would separate them from creation. They didn't want to be separated. They knew what happened when you separated yourself. You lost your way. You lost your connection to your divinity. And this is what has happened. And this is why it's so easy for people to turn to science and just turn their back on God and ridicule everybody that's, you know, believing in a creator, which I find interesting because, you know, atheism is based on belief. So really, they are no different than religious people. People that are atheists are no different than a religious person. You just believe there's no God, but you can't believe you can't prove there's no God. You can believe it, but you can't prove there's no God. So you're just basing your beliefs on, you know, on that. You're no different to a religious person that believes in God, but then can't prove that there's a God. However, there is more proof that there's a God than there isn't because we have the golden ratio, we have the Fibonacci sequence, we have intelligent design. So really, yeah, I don't understand how atheists can stand there and basically ridicule and mock people that mention the word God. I just look at them as though that they're wearing a big badge on themselves saying, retard, I'm a retard, I don't even know what I'm saying, because you just have a belief too. You just have a different religion. It's called atheism. Even though your religion is, I don't believe in God at all, I don't believe, that's still a belief, okay? And it's an easy cop-out, really. I'm just not going to believe in anything at all. I mean, that's like just basically saying, I'm just mentally lazy and retarded, and I'll just believe what the scientists tell me and that there's just no God because I can't be bothered thinking any further. I mean, really, I just have no respect for people that, you know, wear that badge that they're an atheist as though it's something important, you know. Oh, I'm an atheist, but I love this Pope. How many times do you see that? That just makes me laugh too, because the Pope would just slit your throat and laugh as he watched you die because he's the Antichrist. But you're so fucking stupid, you don't even know that because you have not identified the enemy in your midst because you're just unintelligent and uninformed on I mean, at least religious people, some of them are identifying that, you know, the Pope is evil and he's not following the teachings of Christ. Not very many, but there are some that say he's not following the teachings of Jesus and he's not following the teachings of Christ. So they are the ones that are actually following their scripture, doing exactly what they were supposed to do, doing what the scripture actually says. Be aware, do not err from, you know, the laws, because there will be those that come along and try to move you off your path. And what are they doing? They thought that, yeah, when the devil or the Antichrist was coming, that he was going to be wearing, you know, he was going to have horns and, you know, a pitchfork. They didn't understand that he was going to come in robes and telling them everything they wanted to hear. And, you know, he doesn't follow the teachings of Jesus. You only have to see the Gospel of Thomas, where it says that the poor are the ones that inherit the kingdom, that the poor are going to, you know, be the ones that are rewarded. So they've got a bank. The Vatican have a bank. So I'm sorry, anyone that wants to delude themselves that they need the money and they just use it to help. No, I'm sorry. They've got a bank, okay? Vatican have a bank. That means they're not poor. That means they're not following the teachings of Jesus. That means you're a hypocrite, okay? Don't want to hear that, do you? But you are. And I find that really interesting. You know, I'm not even represented by any religious brand, right? But I seem to have been able to identify what their scripture was actually in relation to and what it was warning them about. And I've actually utilised the information left for them that they've spent their whole life going to church every Sunday praising. And I'm utilising it to actually walk my path back to God. And they're actually sitting in a church singing to the Antichrist minions. It's just insane. But this is why narrow be the way, and few there be that find it, because it really is narrow the way, you know, and really is very few that find it. Shockingly so. Shockingly, really shockingly so. But everything is as it must be. And so, again, it is a choice that people do want to remain ignorant. They don't want to take the information. They don't want to go and look at it further. A lot of it is because, well, you know, who is this person that she says she has information and knows information, other people don't, and all of these other excuses or justifications they use to ignore the information rather than just going and looking at the information, because, you know, that's really all I've done is just identify the information, and probably just because I just am tenacious like that, just never stopped seeking, have been like that all my life, and I just found it because I kept looking and nobody really kept bothering. They just kept wanting to go and listen to other people tell them, and I just never was. Maybe because I'm arrogant too and I don't like listening to other people tell me stuff. I like to prove it for myself because I don't know. I don't know, but, you know, I went and did what I went and did. You know, call it what you will, and what motivated me to do it and why I just didn't continue on in certain paths when other people did. But I have found information that can't be denied. Nobody has been able to show me where I have this information incorrect. And so I'm utilising this information to find a better path through these times and help other people if they so wish, as I said. And really, because that's my duty. When I've found this information, then I have to actually hold it up and show others. You know, whether they want it or not is up to them. I'm not supposed to force it on them. It's just there. You know, it's like, here it is. Do you want it? And that's what every seeker has to do. So know that. It's double-edged sword, okay? Double-edged sword. That's also why divine wisdom is symbolized by the snake, okay? The serpent. Because the serpent has to be controlled. You can't just let the serpent go. It will bite you. It's got to be treated with respect, and it's got to be utilized in a way that is respectful. And so if people don't utilize this information in a respectful way, they will get bitten. They will go into the ditch. The serpent will, you know, bite them. And it's also when you see a Fucius and he's holding the serpent. You see a lot of archetypal symbolism where they're holding the serpent and they're trying to fight the serpent. It's the same thing. You've got to control the serpent, that lower carnal part of you. You can either use that instinctive part of you for good, to find your divinity, to find who you are, to utilize that for the greater good, or you can use that carnal instinctive part of you to debase yourself and to allow yourself just to be led by your desires and lusts. And so when people allow themselves to be led by their desires and lusts, then they're really not in intellectual control of their consciousness or their soul. They're allowing themselves to be governed by their sacrum. And this is why you have to come up into your third eye. This is what enlightening means, okay? And it's all connected. People think I'm talking about this information. They wonder why I've got the Oregon shootings, and I'm about to show you. You know, it's all connected. Okay, you can't look at esoteric information and find all this information and then not connect it to the political environment that we're now in. It's ridiculous to think that you can. We have to apply it. And because they know the information. And that's why they're acting and behaving in this way. And this is why we utilize the information, so we understand that. And so not look at it as negative if you're spiritual and you just want to go and meditate in some cave, and I don't want to look at the Oregon shootings. It's negative. I don't want to see that. You know, no, you're not. You're being unconscious. You are not allowing yourself to have a full understanding of your situation, and therefore you can't utilize your divine abilities and capabilities and gifts to help you through what's coming, which is law. We get to the end of the cycle. It gets shit. Bad people take control. And so nothing is going to stop that from happening. We have to ready ourselves for that. That's the only way. And someone said it once, that God works through you, not for you. So you can't just sit on your ass and go, help me, God. No, you have to act on what your gut is telling you. That's how God works through you. You know, God's provided you with these guideposts on your path, and you only can find them when you are looking at them through your ka and your ba. You have to use them together. It's something that has to be used as one entire mechanism to process environmental circumstances and have an understanding for it on every single level. Otherwise, you're only got an understanding on an intellectual level. So you're only taking everything in intellectually, and you're just having to believe that on an intellectual level. Whereas when you're taking it in from your car, you're actually using that to gauge as well. So it's like an extra sensory ability that gives you skills to be able to sift through information very quickly. You know, I don't have to read a whole article to know it's shit. Okay, I don't even have to click on it. All right, I've got myself to that good that I just know when I look at an article, it's not worth looking at. You know, a lot of people still, oh, I've got to read everything. Oh, is it right? Is it true? Who's that person? I better go and check him out. No, you want to get yourself to that level where that's what you have to do. You know what bullshit is, and you know what truth is. You know who to listen to. You know who not to listen to. Or you know some people that do have an agenda, but you can still listen to them because you know how to sift through the information, like Alex Jones. Okay, even though he's got an agenda, I can still listen to his information and utilise that information for my own benefit because I know the angle that the information's being used against us with now. So this is where using your ka and your ba also helps gather more information. And same with when the refugees were throwing back food and water at the Hungary. Was it Hungary or Turkey? Hungary. It was Hungary. They were throwing it back. I'll put the link underneath. They were throwing water and food back, and just within me, it was not right. That was not right to see that behaviour, and that's what got me investigating about these refugees. Okay. And that's what got me understanding that we're being set up and led me into all of this other information and what I'm about to tell you and how it's all connected and how it's all connected to the esoteric information. So I realised that they were not taking the food and water because they were migrants. Well, they were jihadists. They're not refugees fleeing war and are willing to just take any help from whoever. They are basically jihadists on a, pilgrimage. They think they're on a pilgrimage. They've been brainwashed to think they're on a pilgrimage to the Western man to bring jihad. And they're doing this in the name of Allah because they've been brainwashed to do this. They've been given enough motivation to hate white man because we've bombed his countries and we've let ourselves become so corrupted because, as we know, most Muslims are still very devout, still follow the teachings quite strictly, whereas most Christians are very lax. And I've seen Christians that are even now justifying homosexual marriage, and so just the height of being a hypocrite. And so they have done this on purpose, and so using these brainwashed jihadists, they have been allowing them into the country, or into all of our Western countries, Australia, the UK, Europe and the US, at least since the 80s it's begun. So any area in the US that's got a high population of Muslims, you have to be aware they are jihadists. And they actually are enacting a law within Islam. Now, I'm not going to try and say this law using that Islamic word. Everybody that's followed me for a long time knows that my pronunciations are shit at best, so I'm not even going to try and use it. Try and say this word. It's got a Q in it and a lot of Y's and stuff. But I'm going to put it underneath, right, and I'm going to put what it is because you need to know, all right? It's important. It's important you know that they are using this law so that they can basically deceive us and still be within the bounds of their religion. They think. They've been brainwashed to think this way and to use this law in that context, that they can be deceitful. It's basically the law that allows them to be deceitful and any means to an end. You know, whatever it is to get there, you can do it because it's all about protecting Allah's word and, protecting, their religion and themselves. So it's very important that people understand that this is what's been happening. All of our countries have been infiltrated with jihadists, okay? They're all in sleeper cells all throughout our country. Anywhere that's got a high Muslim population, leave. If you're white, leave. Anywhere with a high Mexican population, leave, guys. Seriously, it's the same thing for the Mexicans. They've been setting us up. They've been setting us up with the Mexicans as well, so that they hate our guts as well. And as soon they're going to actually just drop the borders between Mexico and the US. Eventually, that'll happen. They'll just drop those borders, and they will have militia, you know, that they have armed from Mexico, just all over the place, you know, ready to do what they think they are doing for the greater good, because they've been brainwashed as well. Okay, they've all been brainwashed to take out Western man, basically. They've been brainwashed to say we're the corrupted ones that need to be removed, and once we're gone and we're dealt with, then peace will be. You know, it's just white man has been the one that has created so much misery for them. They don't understand, though, that white man has also not got out of this unscathed. Remember the burnings. Remember 400 years ago when, you know, the Crusades were on. So, yeah. White man has not escaped any of this. So, really, they have to understand they're being completely brainwashed. We have been just as fucked over, and we have had no say in what our psychopathic governments have been doing in our name. However, we have had a say to a certain degree, even though, yes, they've taken control of our governments and they're corrupted. We still have not gone out and demanded and been outraged that they get out of government. You know, we haven't had the army, you know, have a coup and remove them all, and we haven't done anything to change the situation either. So yes, on one hand, we still are at fault, even though we don't have the power to take out our government. In actual fact, if we were in honour, we would be doing what we could to remove them. So, and we're not as white people, we're not. And so these corrupted governments have, in our name, gone and, you know, destroyed parts of the Middle East and Africa and everywhere else. And they've been doing it in our name, and we've been allowing it. And so this is what these jihadists see. And so all of these shootings and everything is all tied to this as well. And so that's why I wanted to bring you these articles about this shooting, this latest shooting. I mean, this has got the number 8 all through it. You know, as I said, you know, it's going to be the year of the 8. I've done a video, 22nd of January, Planet Insano Files. They hate the 8. I was telling you guys that they were going to use 8 all year, and they have been. This guy that done the shooting was 26. His name's also an 11. It's fully all orchestrated. He's a Muslim sympathiser. They're already giving you the drip feeding that these jihadists are starting to be given their cues now as well. And there's been a mass shooting every 8 days so far in 2015. So they're using the 8 again, and we are in an 8 year, which is why I said that next year's the number 9 year, which will be the year of culmination, okay, when it all comes together. That's it. We're fucked. Basically, next year, everything's been leading up to that. It's going to be short and sharp, but it's going to happen, and it's going to be negative, and we're all going to feel it. And then after that, we get to then experience the return of Kronos, and the harvest will be upon us. The reaping, the wheat and the tares will be sorted. And so we do have nothing really to look forward to and think that we have some positive future if you are turning your back on God. Okay? So I'm just going to say that right now, whether you want to think that that is something that is, you know, religious belief, whatever. Just telling you, wheat and tar is going to be sorted, and if you don't want to be a tar, then you better turn back to God now. That's the only way. Or you are divine, 288 divine beings, which are the immortals, and then you've got the 10,000 elect within the 144,000 mortals that will go through into the next cycle with the divine race, into the next cycle and begin at the golden age at the top of the great year. That's where we're going, into a reset, set tepi. And so if you want to be discarded with the TARS because you don't, you're either taking the chance that you are Iron Man, which is the elect within the mortals, or one of the divine, or you are going to actually just turn and do the right thing. That's pretty much your only option. But to think that this system is going to stay and to put any relevance in it and to continue on any career and business ideas and put anything of any effort into this system in the Iron Age now at this part of the cycle is just delusion, really. You're just wasting your time and you're just paving your way to hell with good intentions. Because really all you can do now is just turn back to your Creator, get real about the situation, turn your children back to God too if you haven't already. You really need to give God back to your children. I really feel sorry for all of these children that have had God taken away from them, because that's important for their souls too. They don't want to be little lumps of coal, which is why they get coal at Christmas if they were naughty. Back in the ancient times, this is where that symbolism comes from. Again, this is information people don't want to hear, but it has to be said and someone has to say it, and unfortunately I'm the one that has to say this. And so, bring on the attacks, whatever, but I'm just hoping that for the sake of some little children out there, someone might actually put some worth in my words and go and look further into what I'm speaking and do the right thing to find their path back to their crown, back to their divinity, back to source, back to God. And God cannot just be consciousness, okay? God cannot just be sterile consciousness. If that's just what you want to reduce God to, then that's going to be your reward. God is the King of Kings, okay? God is conscious, meaning God is aware. God is aware of you, just as you are aware of God, little man, little mortal man. So, to think that God is just consciousness floating around somewhere out there is reducing God to something very inconsequential, and that is not where finding truth is either. So people have to once again find God, okay, and find and humble themselves to that actual fact in their existence, because you are an extension of God. You cannot find truth and leave the elephant in the middle of the room and just pretend the elephant's not there anymore, The elephant's there and it's God, all right? So you have to acknowledge God, and then once you acknowledge God and you work with that, you can actually find the realizations of who you are, and you can find the greatness within you once again, because that's what that information does too. And as I say, then all of this negative reporting doesn't have this element of fear where you want to negate this and you want to pretend that this isn't something that you have to address because it's negative, and you'd rather just look at the positive and the loving and go and do some meditation and go and light some candles. You can't do that. You have to bring it back and understand that there are two parts to everything, positive and negative to everything. Bring them back together, but have an understanding for both and lose the fear. So that was the first thing I wanted to show you. The Oregon sheriff that doesn't want to talk about his anti-gun control letter, okay, he's just a total stooge, creating issues around the anti-gun argument to create more distraction. Now, if there is going to be any guns being removed, it is not going to be because they're taking your guns and, because they're scared of you, of what you will do to your government. They are taking your guns. If they do take your guns, They are taking them so that you don't have a way to defend yourself against the jihadists that are about to be given given cues in your country. As I said, there's been sleeper cells in your country for at least, since the 1980s. Same with my country. They're letting them more in all the time. I'm sure we all live in suburbs. Some of us live in suburbs or know of suburbs. We all know of suburbs that do have high Muslim populations. They've been slowly integrating their way into our countries and pretending they're doing this because they just want to integrate and be like us. But they haven't actually been truthful. They are invoking that law. I told you I will put that name and explanation about that law in the comments. You can look at that further. I suggest you do. And when you start seeing them make smart comments, if you are reading a news post on Facebook and you sometimes see these Arabs are making smart comments now, you can see that they're actually starting to mock and ridicule Western man, and they've also been brainwashed to believe that Western men are weak and very effeminate, and this is because they've been really feminizing men for the last, decade. Really, bringing this, it's okay to be feminine, and, put flowers in your beards, and the hipsters are doing all this. You see these articles, and this is what it is. It's to give Muslims an idea that this is what all Western men are, which is just stupid, really, because Western men aren't soft and weak. That's the last thing they are. Yes, you can brainwash them, but when you tap into that inner warrior, when they realise what's happened, I certainly hope these jihadists know what they are going to be dealing with, because you just have to look back into ancient history to see most of these barbarians and the berserkers, Vikings, white men know how to kick some ass too. So they've been brainwashed to believe that they're just going to walk in and probably just take out white man very easily, which is probably why they're so ready to bring their wives, if some of them are. But as I said, 75% are males, so they're not all bringing their wives and children. And you know what? I made a comment about that on one of the news articles, which is why I keep getting my account terminated. But I'm not going to shut up. I made a comment and I said, why are 75% of them males? And I actually posted a little graph that I got from the data from the UN or something. It's proper data. And this Muslim answered me, this Arab answered me, and he said, we don't bring our women to war. Okay, you see, this is what's going on, right? They're coming for war against us, all right? And so this is what we have to prepare for, or be blindsided and keep being mocked, okay, and keep being seen as weak. This is their mentality against us. And as I said, they're already letting it out. They have these little, you'll see them in the comments, they have these little goes, they like to make things about the women as well, So just put this word down. I'll show again, it's this Islamic law that they're invoking to be deceitful and get away with it. And when I start putting that on some of these comments, they shut up pretty quickly, okay? So once you start telling them their plans, they don't keep arguing with you on the posts. They just shut down. It's like, whoa, you're not supposed to know that. So you've got to start knowing it, okay, what's coming for us. And so we can get smarter and you can start warning other people, okay, and let people know what's coming. Same as that Muslim clock kid, okay? That was all a setup. It's them laughing at us, all right? And trying to make us seem racist because he was treated like he was, a bomber only because he was Muslim. Oh, have you seen the actual bomb? The actual suitcase as compared to a bomb. They look practically the same. Okay, it was staged. It's all fabricated. They're laughing at us. Okay, identify it. I know it's a huge conspiracy. I know it's so hard to get your fucking head around it that we've been fucked over for the last 500 so years. All right, badly, and especially the last, since World War II, they have totally been socially engineering us gender-wise and fucking with us, completely. We don't even know who we are anymore. People are running around thinking they're the opposite gender and everyone's saying, that's okay, you're born in the wrong body. No, you can't be born in the wrong body. That's just stupid. Okay, same as the homosexual agenda, okay? No, you are not born being attracted to the same gender. You've decided to be attracted to the same gender. I'm sorry if that's hard to accept. I'm really, really, really sorry. Okay, it must be hard to accept it. I get that. I get that. They've told you that it was you were normal and that it was just you were different. No, you're different. You've got some mental issues you have to work on as to why your mind and sacrum are finding the same gender attractive instead of the opposite gender. It's something that's happened with you that's preventing that flow of energy to be corrected. Okay, so it's defective, all right? And that's not said in any way that's supposed to be an attack. It's just said in a strong way because we are being force-fed this homosexual agenda so much. You really have to come back at it just like that, okay? Or you're just going to be steamrolled by it. So, no, look, whatever you want to do in your own room, in your own bedroom, I really don't care. I don't care. I don't. But I don't want to know about it. I don't. If you make me know about it, I have to say something. I just have to, because as a conscious soul, I've got to protect my divinity and I've got to protect my creator and his creation and what's right. And so you force me to have to say something. You know, you force me to have to say that's out of alignment. Sorry, you know, and then of course, bigot, you know, you're this, you're, you know, that's fine. You can call me names, but I'm not going to stop saying what's true and correct. And we were created male and female. We were created male and female because that's how we procreate. That's how we continue to flourish as a species. That's how God flourishes. Okay? God made you mated. Everyone's mated. Every soul's mated. Even though the divine souls and the mortals are, there's a degree of difference there. They're mated. So what you're doing when you're going with the same gender is you're saying, oh, sorry about that gift you gave me, God. I'm going over here instead. I mean, of course, I'm just reducing this to a simplistic understanding for people, but that's on a level what's happening. Okay, so if you want to be true as a seeker into this esoteric information, then you have to identify that you cannot be homosexual and follow these sciences and this knowledge and become enlightened, because to do that you have to acknowledge that gender is male and female, and that for a perfect harmonious relationship on an intellectual level, a spiritual level and a physical level, it can only be male and female. That's why we have yin and yang. So you have to admit that. You have to admit that. But that's what becoming conscious does. These hard lessons, we have to do it, and it can be done. I'm not saying it's easy. I wouldn't even know where to start. But I do know that you were created male and female, and so there's a way to make yourself back into that understand, you know, to take yourself back to that understanding of who you are once again. There is a way, there is a path there. It's there within all of those paths that have been provided for you. It's there. Everybody has a path back to their crown. Every single mortal that was ever created has a path back to their crown. Very few take it. And I would suggest if you're homosexual, even fewer. But totally up to you. But I will not agree to homosexuals having this agenda of destroying all of our symbolism, destroying the institute of, you know, marriage and parenting being male and female, and every child needs a mother and father. You cannot tell me that a child is going to be brought up in the correct, harmonious, natural way as God intended by having two mothers or two fathers when we're created as male and female. Again, if you believe that, that's fine. You don't have to write to me a big, epic, hateful letter, but just go and take your information from somebody else, you know, and go and discuss this with somebody else, because I actually just use divine law. I just use the sciences. I just use the actual knowledge, and then I base everything off that. And so that's what I'm basing off that. So it's not just a personal feeling to me, because I've got, you know, lots of, you know, friends that have homosexual relationships, you know. I've worked in the hospitality industry and had plenty of homosexual friends. And so it has never been something that's personal for me. It's just that once I knew the truth, once I knew the understanding of how we should behave and how we should dictate ourselves as a spiritual soul and a spiritual person in this experience, it doesn't include homosexuality being something that we proclaim and that we celebrate and that we push as normal to the younger children and, you know, the younger generation and society. So I have to just go with what the information finds. And this is just what a seeker does, okay? You have to stay with the information. You can't just get to a certain level within this knowledge and then not go further because you don't want to accept what it's showing, because then you're not a true seeker and you will not get back to your crown. So you have to just let go of all that, okay, and just follow what the knowledge says. And Hermetic law, and unless you're arguing with Hermetic law, says gender is male and female, not male and male, not female and female, male and female. So that's what you have to basically align yourself to. The law, as I said, nothing to do with me. And it's not easy speaking out for what we should be doing in these times when everyone wants to follow their lust and wants to be justified and wants to say that you can have a homosexual marriage and justify their perversions. I'm sorry. And pervert is just a perversion of law. You're perverting the law. You're perverting natural law. That's why you become a pervert. Okay? So don't be a pervert. Okay? Follow natural law. That's all you have to do. So I'm sure I'm going to get my haters from that little discussion. But again, I'm just trying to get all of this information out because I feel that I have to do this as my responsibility of somebody that has this information and knows what's coming. I want to get this information out for you guys, whether you listen to it or not, whether you've stopped, listening. It's up to you. I'm still going to do it. I don't care. I could have nobody listen. I'd still do it because it's just I have to fulfill my obligation in this experience now. Once that I've uncovered this knowledge, it has to be brought up to the light and held there for others. That's what this knowledge actually says too. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just holding it up there for you guys. You can either use it to, gain better understanding for your path through these times, or you don't. It's completely up to you. But as I said, I really don't want the hate. If I have removed you from the groups and suddenly you're not in the groups, it's not because I hate you. It's because you've come on my radar, and this happens a lot. And I know that you've been in the groups for like a year and a half, 2 years, and I've not seen you move at all. I've not seen any posts about God. I've not seen any posts about the knowledge. You're still stuck in your GMOs. You're still stuck in your Nassim Harriman. You're still stuck in your, Terence McKenna. Whatever it is, you're still there. And basically the knowledge says that to dismiss this knowledge is to dismiss the gods, okay, to dismiss God, basically, and their divine wisdom. And so that's basically what it's seen as. And so my duty when I recognise that is to remove you, because you're no longer worthy to be accessing this knowledge, because you've dismissed it. You said it, oh, thank you for this divine knowledge, but yeah, I'd rather just listen to Nassim Harriman over there and not really look at this any further. Because the problem is with divine knowledge, it's not just someone sitting there spoon feeding it to you, telling you what to believe and convincing you by giving you certain appearances that make you feel that you can take information from them and it be factual. That's why I swear. That's why I don't care what people think about me, because it's not even supposed to be about me. It's supposed to be that you just go and see what I'm showing, because that's all I'm doing. And then anybody can take what I've found, the basics, which is really all I've found because I haven't gone any further. It's pretty much just the basics of what I found. And then I've gone, okay, I've realised what everything is. And now I'm just confirming and building on that understanding that I know. But as far as understanding who all the divine race are as in individuals and other aspects, there's still a lot missing. There's still a lot I have to put back together, but I just know that at the moment that information isn't available because I'm not ready to understand that information yet. I'm only at this level of understanding, and so this is where I just focus until I do have the ability to access more of that information. And so now I'm just looking more at all the philosophies that continue to confirm what the knowledge we've put back together is already showing us. It's just like building that picture into a more of a solid understanding and a solid picture, and little pieces are just being reconfirmed and reconfirmed. It's not like we're finding a lot of new information. It's just like the information we've already got is becoming more solid. So instead of just getting 2 confirmations on that information, we've now got 6 confirmations on that, because we've found other parables, we've found other quotes from philosophers. So that's what we're doing now. We're just shoring up and creating a more solid understanding and picture of what we have. But there is going to be information that we can't access until, other certain events have transpired, and we are then granted access to that information. And so now that's all I'm doing, is just revealing the information I've found so far, using that now to understand all of these situations in these shootings. It's not random that all of these shootings have escalated since Obama has taken control. He is the Antichrist minion. If Obama is not the last president, Donald Trump will be. So it will be between Obama and Donald Trump. And I've got a feeling it may be next year that Donald Trump may take you to war, because he is already speaking out strongly against the Syrians and the Mexicans. Again, he's kicking the hornet's nest, okay? He's creating more enemies for America, okay? That's what he's doing. When he's saying, oh, we're going to kick him out of the country, and you guys are all, all these Americans are writing things like, oh, yeah, get rid of him. You just, sealing your own fate. Really, don't say those things and add to it, okay? Be smarter. Really, you have to start identifying you've got jihadists that have got you in their crosshairs, and so start preparing for that on every level. Now, they may take your guns, okay? I would keep that in mind if you are looking to protect yourself. Don't rely on just the guns, because you might not have them. That may be part of their script. I don't try and understand what their script's going to be and do videos about what I think they're going to do, because I don't know what their script is, and they always do what I don't actually, think they're going to do. I was talking about, I knew that they were going to flood countries with refugees and that, or with migrants, illegals, but I thought it was going to be Mexico and America, and I was looking at that, but then next minute it was Syria started becoming, and so I was, oh, okay, so it's not only Mexico they're going to do this with, it's Syria as well. So, see, it's like their script, they know what they're doing and they've got their plans. None of this is random. And so to try and guess what they're going to do when we don't have all the facts is just, it's silly. So what we just do is we just go with what we know. We do know that there's jihadists. We do know that the refugees, 75% are male, throwing back food and water, saying that they're coming, for war on the West, invoking that law. We've even got a jihadist, here we go, radicalised youth shot dead a police worker, okay, in Australia yesterday, in New South Wales. 15-year-old, 15's the number of the devil too in the tarot. That's an esoteric number for the devil, okay, 15. And this kid, okay, has been brainwashed by a mufti, okay? So when you see radicalised youth, that's what it is. These muftis are brainwashing these kids, all right? And so he's a jihadist. He's been set loose, all right? It's just drip feeding us. What's going to happen? 17-year veteran. Oh, number 8. Very interesting. Okay, I'll put all these links underneath. China's now, who isn't bombing Syria? Guys, really, who isn't bombing Syria? Do we not see what's going on? They're creating more and more enemies. They're all the New World Order here, okay? China, Russia, America, they're the New World Order, okay? They're all working together in Syria now, okay? Enemies working together in Syria, really? And, it's only going to take, and now someone said to me, oh, here we go, they're going to be like a stray bomb's going to hit, a Russian plane, or vice versa, going to hit Russian's going to hit American or whatever. To me, I don't know. It's almost like, yeah, it's too easy though. And they like to set it up like you think it's going to play out that way, and then they'll do something different. So I don't know. But I do know it's all going somewhere very ugly. Regardless of whether I know their exact plans, I know the basic ones, and that's to fuck us over, okay, all of us. And we have to prepare for it. As I said, really, this is why I'm doing this video, and it's an hour long, because I'm hoping I don't have to do any more, because really nobody listens to them. And it's just a waste of time, I don't do them because, oh, it's something that I want to do. I only ever did them for research, guys. If anyone's followed me from the beginning, I was only doing these videos for research, okay? That was the only reason I had an interest in YouTube and became part of the YouTube community and started researching, and that was just to get information. I've got it now. I don't really want to do videos anymore. I don't really want to be hated on. So I'll just put all this information out in one big block video. Those who want to bloody listen to it can listen to it. And those that don't have to listen to it. Just Just go away. Oh, what's going on here? Look, even my stupid game things I accidentally installed are coming up. I've been doing this video so long. So anyway, yes, that's pretty much where we're at, guys. As I said, I just wanted to get all of this information out. That's what the roundtables were for. It's just there's so much info. I could go all day. I don't want to, but I do know. I also want to help people be able to be prepared for this. I don't want us to be set up and just taken out so easily and nobody know what's coming. And for the children, you know, I want people to snap in for them. So just understand, this is what's coming. We've been set up. Okay, all of these jihadists are coming into our country now. They're saying 200,000 are coming into America. Yeah, okay, triple that. All right, if not more. They're saying 20,000 or 12,000 in Australia. Then I was already seeing figures for 20,000. You can triple that too. I reckon 100,000 for us. And we're not going to know. We're just going to see an increase in Muslims. We're just going to see some families. And don't worry, they'll do lovely little stories in your local paper. Oh, look at the new Muslim family that's just been, welcomed into the community. And there'll always be a church involved, and normally a Catholic one, Catholic parish that's helped you, get these Syrian families settled, and they're going to have a cake sale for them, and everyone, the bleeding hearts are like, it's so beautiful. The bleeding hearts are going to be the first to die, all right? Basically, that's why the road to hell's paved with good intention. Okay, so any of you bleeding hearts out there, really, your fake niceties are getting you nowhere, okay? Time to tap into the inner mongrel. You're going to need it, or you're going to be slayed, all right? And you don't need to believe me or not. You'll believe me when people are running down your street screaming and they've got jihadists chasing them with their frickin' sabres, okay, ready to take their heads off, especially Western whores, okay? You'll click in pretty fast, but the problem is you've not acted soon enough. You're going to leave yourself in a situation that you might have a high population of Muslims around you. You're fucked then. Really, if you've got a high population of Muslims around you, you just either really know your environment super well, or go, because they do too. They have been surveilling and getting everything in place, and they are ready to basically just be given their directives. And don't think that the government's coming to help you. They've let them in. They're all working together. Okay, Obama is the Antichrist. The Jesuit Pope is the Antichrist. Merkel is the Antichrist. Putin is the Antichrist. Cameron is the Antichrist. Tony Abbott, Antichrist. And he's just stepped down. And don't think that was something that was against, someone said to me that, they got played or something. No, he was stepping down because they have to bring in homosexual marriage into Australia and destroy marriage. So that's coming shortly. And we need a war captain, okay? And so we've got Malcolm Turnbull now that's stepped up to the plate, and he's Antichrist too. And he's going to be worse than Tony Abbott. So all of you Australians are all celebrating that Tony Abbott's gone. You just got someone worse. Tony Abbott's going to be like a walk in the park by the time Malcolm Turnbull is finished with our country. I mean, Malcolm Turnbull is basically a toned-down version of Donald Trump. Self-made millionaire businessman is leading our country, and we think it's a fucking good idea, do we? This is where mortals have just led themselves in the ditch with their lust of money. Once again, jobs, money. That's all they have to do. Oh, we're just going to clear fell this 100 acres of forest here, all these endangered animals. And, anyone that speaks out, it's like, there's jobs. We need jobs. People, really, lust for money. No, you don't need jobs. That's slavery. You don't need slavery to exist. You just decided you want to be slaves. There's no reason for you to be a slave. You just said, yeah, okay, I'll be a slave to the system. This sounds good. Yep. And so you're now partaking in the destruction of your planet, your children's planet. And you think that's normal. You think gifting them this planet is normal. And you people that just think sitting on your fucking hands doing nothing is going to change something, you love and lighters, who think I'm so angry, I'm so unspiritual, in my ego, because what? I speak out about stuff and I don't ignore the negative. You people that just want to ignore the negative and not address any of this, this ugly is going to find itself into your experience sooner or later, and you are going to wish you had hooked in and you had tapped in to your inner warrior and prepared, because you have to prepare on every level. It's not just a matter of the week before it all plays out, you realise it and go and get yourself some weapons, you know. No, because you're not mentally ready, you're not spiritually ready, you haven't done the work. You want to do the work now and get ready now. You want to get everything ready now. You want to start identifying the enemy now and start watching the enemy now, start observing the enemy now. And the enemy is all of your governments and anyone that's a Muslim. And unfortunately, I'm sorry Muslims, because I used to speak out for you Muslim guys all the time. Anyone could say that's followed me for a long time, that I never let anybody tar any culture with, you know, the one perception, you know, whether it be the Hindu men who have all been getting called rapists. You know, I've also said the same thing, you know, that you can't say that, that's wrong, and that's social engineering, and that's being done on purpose. But Muslims, the problem is that now I know you're on a jihad against the Western man and woman, so I can't trust any of you. And due to that law I know that you're invoking as well, that allows you to be deceitful, I just can't take my chances. It's just called self-preservation. Okay, so it's not racist, it's just self-preservation. I know that your culture has been brainwashed to believe that your philosophy allows you to come and wage war against Western man and kill Western man because we're corrupted, or that you believe we're corrupted. And so that gives you the right to do this. And so due to this fact, I now cannot have any Muslim people on my profile. Well, my new profile, I haven't really been adding many people, and I don't even know how long that profile will remain up, because I've just been getting terminated. I got terminated straight after the blood moon. And so that was no random event, and luckily I've got this backup one. I've got one more backup one that somebody else made, but you know, it's just going to be a time where I don't have a backup Facebook, and they won't let me sign up, because when I do, they just don't verify my account, or I'm terminated within a day. So they're making it almost impossible for me, but that's because I just won't shut up, and I'll just keep saying the same thing over and over and warning people over and over until people listen. And I know some of you are listening. I know some of you are gone and sort out this information. I know some of you are using this knowledge to prepare for what's coming. But I know that there are some that are late to the table because, for whatever reason, and it's time to hook in if you want to. It's all a matter of choice. But anyway, I probably won't do any more videos after this one for quite a while. It's an hour and 20 minutes almost. So again, I've put out quite a bit of information just to let you know what's coming. As I said, I'm going to put all of this underneath. I'll do probably an update if, you know, something pretty big happens, but really just doing articles on the small little false flags, it just becomes white noise. I'm just one other person just out there doing, you know, what everyone else is doing, giving an opinion on information, on articles, and so I just don't really want to waste my time when people aren't utilising the information. It's just been wasted. So I'd rather just, if I'm going to do a video, do one where I'm doing an hour-long video, hour and a half long round table, or, you know, 2-hour round table, whatever. Get out a whole heap of information, and then, you know, just let you guys sit on that and process that and whatever for how many weeks until I feel the need to do another one. But yeah, as far as just continually doing videos, I'm just not into it anymore, guys. Seriously, after 4 years, come on, I've got over 940 videos now and so much information. So really, I'm just repeating myself, okay, for new people that come along and find a new video or whatever, you know, because I've just uploaded one. And really, even that now is minimal, the way they are structuring, you know, social networking and all of the media now, is that you don't really get the reach that you used to. I mean, even on Facebook, you know, you don't get the reach that you used to. So same thing, you know, really, it's not worth me just continually doing videos every day and taking my time to do videos every day when I'm only getting the same, you know, people watching me say the same things over and over again, because you guys already know, okay? But what it is, it's other people that are coming late to the game, and they're just starting to hook in and realise they can find a good amount of information in one place quickly, rather than going and watching the whole mystery teachings and going through all of the playlists. They can just go and watch a couple of roundtables, get a pretty good idea for what I'm talking about, and decide whether they want to keep continuing on. But really, you do need to know all of the information if you do want to utilise this information to its fullest extent and be able to decode all of the knowledge, the esoteric symbolism, then yeah, you do want to watch all of the videos. If you just already know this in yourself, if you feel what I'm saying is, or you just know it's really solid in you, you probably don't need to. Okay, if you already have a solid connection with God and the Creator, you don't need anyone else to prove it. Then I wouldn't bother. See me, I've always been more of a left brain, I suppose you could call me, if you were to use that analogy, which I find incorrect anyway. But let's just use it for this instance when we're talking about analytical and more logical, kind of intellectual. That's where I go. And so I didn't believe in God till I found God in the science. Not that I didn't believe in God, I just didn't understand God, so I just didn't know what to really attribute anything to, because I had no full understanding. And so I wasn't willing to look at scripture. I wasn't willing to go to church. I wasn't willing to go and follow that belief system. I wasn't willing to go and because it didn't give me that science that I needed, that data that I needed to give me evidence and acknowledgement in what I was feeling was already right. Because a lot of what I was saying was already right, but it was just that I needed that solid science to say, it's right. It's right. You don't have to just think it is. Look, you can't deny it. It's there. Look. And so that's what I needed. And so some people are different. Some people need that. Some people don't, so it's completely up to the individual. And even the scripture says that you don't only find your way back to source and to the crown through knowledge. You can do it through goodness of heart. You can do it because you just have a very strong connection with your own divine nature and your Creator, and you're just walking that path anyway. So both ways, but for those of us who want to be sure, knowledge is the way to go. Wisdom is the way to go, because it's identified by the universal consciousness when you're a conscious soul. Universal consciousness knows you're conscious, knows you've got this information, knows that you've gone and sought it out, knows that you want to partake in the experience and not against, that you want to be in harmony, you want to work in abundance, not in destruction. The universe is conscious, remember? The universe is mental. I mean, it can be measured on every level. On the level of spirit, which is soul, and intellect, and physical. It plays out on all. So basically, that's pretty much where I am at now. I have identified that we do have a Creator. I have identified that we are in a cycle. I have identified we do have a divine race. I have identified we do illuminate at certain points of the cycle, and some more than others because of their connection to source and because of their placement in creation when they were created. And so that's what all the information's showing. That's what all the scriptures is showing. That's what all the mythologies is showing. The same story over and over again. As I said, that's what we're just doing now. We're just using the confirmations to just keep making that picture more solid. But that's basically the basics of it, guys. Okay, so if you want to just go and research into more of it, as I said, it's all on the channel. It's all in our groups, pages, and, there's information available if you do want to go and seek it further and do want to have an understanding for where we're going, because it's about to get very ugly, okay? I wouldn't be doing an hour and a half video if I didn't think that I had to put this information out for you guys, okay? And say to you, seriously, we have to identify that there are jihadists all through our country in these sleeper cells, okay? All of our Western countries. And all of these refugees are just posing. They're jihadists posing as refugees. So be aware, okay? It's time to hook in. It's time to prepare. Battle is coming. Battle is looming. we've been supposed to be preparing since 2011 when we first woke up. We're supposed to be using all of this time to prepare for what's coming, because next year it's going to culminate, and they're going to basically play out everything that they've been warning that they're going to do to us, they're going to do. And that includes North Korea, because they are going to use North Korea against us as well. So don't forget North Korea. They are not mocking and, utilizing North Korea as this scary boogeyman that never goes through with his threats if they aren't going to utilize him in the end. And they will. And everyone is going to do the same behaviors when they say, when the warnings come out that North Korea is going to fire a missile at America or us, because that was the last one, it's going to be Australia, people are going to mock, and it's going to happen. It's going to be like the boy that cried wolf, and this is how they want to set it up, so that it teaches us a lesson. So I wish I had better news to bring you guys. I really do. I know that every time I bring you guys, it's just not good news, but what can I say? I just have to tell you what the information's showing, and I just know that, look, it's darkest before the dawn, all right? And there's only one way out, and that's through. But we have to get through this stuff before we get to the good stuff. And so we have to prepare our souls for it. We really do. Okay, so as I said, next year, and I'm not just talking about jihadists attacking women and adults too. It's going to be children as well, okay? And it's going to be nasty, and it's going to be stuff that's very, very disturbing, okay? All of the things we've seen them doing over in other countries to children and other people, it's going to happen to white men, okay? Not used to seeing a little white baby blown to bits or some horrible thing, done to them. I mean, you're not used to seeing that. You're just used to seeing that done to brown and yellow and red babies, and that doesn't really affect us as much anymore. We've become numb to that. That little boy that washed up, that propaganda of that little boy that washed up. Okay, that was full on propaganda. That boy was staged. There's even photos which shows another photographer was in the shot. They were setting that boy up. He was wearing red and blue. Okay, they dressed him in those colors on purpose. He was used. They drowned that little boy and used him for their propaganda. Do you understand the people that we're dealing with? I mean, really, guys, as I said, I wouldn't keep doing this if I didn't think it was so serious to continue to keep warning you guys, even though most people just aren't listening, it's just deep. So, well, I think I've, as I said, put out quite a bit of info. I hope you guys utilise it and listen to me and get prepared. I really do. As I said, if you're in areas of highly populated areas of Muslims and Mexicans over in the States, really, guys, think about what you will do if the situation changes, and if that area will be something where you can create, a protective environment for yourself against what's coming. So, well, as I said, I will leave all of these links underneath, and don't know when I will return for another video or for the round table. We could just do a round table when we feel we need to do one, as I said before. I'm going to leave this as well. This is just about what Muhammad, the Messiah for the yellow race, actually warned about, okay? He actually warned about what they would do to Islam. So he said that the priests would become corrupt, and that in the latter days the true spiritual essence of Islam would be lost, and the religion for the most part would be reduced to a ritualistic compulsion. And what just happened when they went to Mecca and that the Hajj and all of those people stampeded, okay? Just for meaningless worship that means nothing to the Creator, that means nothing to the Prophet. The pilgrimage is within. These people have actually taken esoteric information and they're applying it physically, as though they have to go to one physical place to another. It's like, we know that the Nile is symbolic for our ethereal soul. And so it's like, if they were to see information in allegory about a pilgrimage using that area as an example, they'd be travelling from one place to the other on foot or, however they choose, physically, to go to these areas and think that they're having some spiritual experience. No, it's internal. It's all internal. You never have to leave your home to have an internal experience, spiritual experience with the Creator. No middleman ever needed. You have your own relationship with God. You don't need anything, but wisdom does help, but mostly it's just a love for creation and a love for God, and that will see you through the darkest times. But as I said, most people have turned their backs against themselves, their divinity, and God, because when they're turning their backs against God, these atheists, they're actually saying, I'm not divine, I'm just a piece of meat. So think about that one too, guys. I mean, really, it just pays to be informed, okay? Just so you don't have to wear the retard badge anymore, all right? All right, guys, well, I'll leave it here. And as I said, I will post everything underneath. And if you've stuck around to the very end, thank you. And as always, peace out.